in the Iranian government and civil society. What's your sense of how they're viewing the Obama presidency and what it holds in store for them?
They're very cautious. The young people were excited about Barack Obama. The political leaders, not so. They say we're not really interested in words and talk about hope and change. We want to see some real change in policy. We are concerned, they tell us, about the Secretary of State, about Hillary Clinton, about Rahm Emanuel, about several other of the people that are advising the president-elect. They look at people like Dennis Ross, who said recently in a Newsweek article that the Bush administration wasn't doing enough to push Iran. There are a group of people that are surrounding Barack Obama that have said that sanctions should be tightened, are talking about a naval blockade that would stop oil exports from leaving Iran and would stop refined petroleum products from going into Iran. It would be absolutely disastrous for the Iranian people. So they're very concerned, and rightly so. And that's why we, in the progressive movement, have to stake out our positions very clearly. We have to say that Barack Obama promised direct talks without preconditions. We want those talks to happen. And rather than a tightening of the sanction, we want a lifting of the sanctions.
Medea Benjamin, this issue of organizing. I mean, maybe Barack Obama modeled it, although I think the figures have come out for the amount of money he spent on this campaign. We were closing in, I think, on $1 billion. Was it $750 million? But the other aspect is the remarkable community organizing, which might be a model now for people to take up critiquing his policies. But you are well known for being co-founder of Global Exchange and now CodePink. You're moving to Washington completely to continue your work, not in the Bush administration, but in the Obama administration. Why? What are you going to do? How are you mobilizing?
We feel like this is the moment for us as organizers. Yesterday, there were 2,000 organizers that were brought into Washington, D.C., many of them coming from the community organization where Barack Obama was trained in Chicago, talking about how we have to be there to push this administration forward. Groups are planning January, February, bringing thousands of people to Washington, and also to be part of this 10 million email list that has been created. In fact, today they sent out a message from Barack Obama's people saying, we want you to organize house parties December 13th and 14th to give us your ideas. And it's called Change is Coming. We tell progressives, go to those meetings. Whether you voted for Ralph Nader, Cynthia McKinney, or Barack Obama, go to those meetings and be part of this community that's going to have the ear of this new administration. You can go to my.barackobama.com/changescoming, find out where the events are, create ones in your own community, and essentially have progressives infiltrate this vast network of organizers.
Do you have any sense of the year of the administration?
We have people we know that have been appointed or are advisors. I mean, we're excited that some people with some progressive views are going to be in this administration. We have friends who are moving to Washington to take lower-level positions. And we feel like we cannot give up and say just because we don't like the cabinet positions, we don't like a lot of people he's appointed, that we're going to say, okay, he's already betrayed us. No, we got to get in there and be in there from day one. We're even part of organizing a inaugural Peace Ball on the day of the inauguration that sold out in 1 week, 1,000 people. Amy Goodman's going to be there. I hope Juan will be there to say peace is on the agenda. We're going to be at the airports. We're going to be at Union Station in Washington, D.C. when people arrive to the inauguration with quotes of Barack Obama and other people saying, this is what he stood for. He stood for getting the troops out of Iraq. He stood for talks without preconditions. We're going to remind people as they come in that this is what we're hoping will happen.
And how will you deal with Afghanistan? He supports a surge in Afghanistan.
Afghanistan is one promise we don't want him to fulfill. And we have to get out there very quickly. And we are building up as a peace movement to take on the issue of Afghanistan, to say that this is not a, quote, good war, that this has to be a negotiated solution, and that we want to get our troops out of Afghanistan. And more than that, Amy, we have to start taking on the Pentagon budget. Barney Frank came out recently and said cut the Pentagon budget by 25%. 25%. That's a great way to start. Let's put our support behind that and say, let's close down these bases that we have overseas. Let's take the $10 billion that we're spending on the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, use them for domestic purposes, and let's start reigning in the empire.
Well, one last comment.
I just wanted to ask Ralph Nader about the dangers, the potential dangers that occur in periods when there are political shifts like this and progressives come to office. What happens in terms of the popular movement and the dangers that the popular movement faces in these times of change?
Well, they do have to mobilize, as Medea said. I mean, mobilize in the streets and marches and pressure on members of Congress. The issue now moves to Congress. That's where the action is going to be on health care. That's going to be on issues of war and peace, constitutionalism, et cetera. So that definitely is the case, but it certainly would have eased the mission of progressives all over the country had they conditioned their support of Obama in return for certain concessions and certain recognitions in policy before the election, rather than just wait until after the election when he's draped around himself corporate and other establishment figures from the national security apparatus and the Wall Street apparatus. So it's an uphill fight, but there's no alternative. I mean, there's got to now basically say, okay, Barack, you gave us a lot of rhetoric, hope and change and hope, and it's time to produce. And that's what people have to do in every congressional district. And we're looking at November5.org, the website, to invite people to see whether they want to form Congress action groups in congressional districts to focus, for example, on single-payer health care, which has 95 members of the House already supporting the Conyers bill, H.R. 676. So it is mobilization time, and the hope, of course, is like Nixon opened up relations with China. The Democrats couldn't do it because they were concerned of being accused of being soft on communism. So maybe Barack Obama's corporate establishment can be steered in that direction.
Ralph Nader, we want to thank you for being with us.
Transforming leader.
Thank you very much for being with us. Longtime consumer advocate, also former presidential candidate. His first book that catapulted him to fame, Unsafe at Any Speed, that took on the auto industry. Medea Benjamin, co-founder of CodePink, moving to Washington for this administration.
Thank you. And can I just add, come to Washington on a regular basis, go to the hearings. If we pack those hearings, the people's voices will be inside of Congress. And contact us at CodePink. We have a house. You can come and stay there.
Their website.
CodePinkAlert.org.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. When we come back, what happened in Nigeria earlier this week, the killings of perhaps 400 people, then the blogging revolution. Stay with us.
به خواب